welcome back to 360 Sports. I'm here with Chase, Emily, and Victoria, and I'm Emily Goza. So today we're going to talk some hockey. We have to start today's show talking about Alex Ovechkin. Right now, I think it's 10 or 11 goals away from tying Wayne Gretzky's record for most goals scored in NHL history. If he gets this record, or when he gets this record, where do you guys put him all time?
I would say Wayne Gretzky will always be a household name. He's like a hockey god in the NHL. Like, no one can replace that.
Yeah. For me, Wayne Gretzky, like you said, he's like the hockey god. You just cannot replace him. So, and I actually saw an interesting the other day that Gretzky only has 56 empty net goals and Ovechkin actually has 64? So I think that's kind of interesting. I mean, I was talking about this with somebody. I was just joking around, but I was like, empty net goal is kind of like cheating. So it's just interesting to see that, Gretzky has less. So to me, Gretzky will always be the GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both I think it's like a LeBron MJ situation where they're kind of the GOATs of their own generations. I do think, however, the game's being played at a faster pace right now in the NHL. I think defense is a lot better. And what Ovechkin's been able to do throughout his career is really impressive. I think he's up there with the greats. He's definitely top 5. And whether he gets it this season in the playoffs or next season, it's going to be an accomplishment either way.
Yeah, I agree.
I can definitely it's going to happen this season.
Yeah.
I know the original projection was like early April, right, against the Islanders. I personally see it happening sooner.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, he had a hat trick the other day. I think it's happening sooner, but
I still think it's early April against the Islanders, but we'll see.
When do playoffs start? Early May?
Yeah, like mid-April usually,
Okay.
kind of end of April.
Yeah, he can probably get them in the regular season.
Yeah.
With only 10.
Oh,
10
it's
more.
definitely happening.
Yeah. With the momentum he has going, I think he's definitely trying to get it as soon as
sure.
possible.
Mhm.
Yeah. The Blue Jackets and Red Wings played in the Stadium Series where the Blue Jackets won both games. This was the Jackets' first competition ever played outside, and it ended pretty well for them. What do you guys think about this matchup?
I think it was a great matchup for two teams that are kind of in the fighting to get into the postseason. I thought it was interesting because it actually had roots with the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry for college football. Dylan Larkin, Michigan alumni and Red Wings center, said it's probably the ugliest stadium I've ever been in when they were talking about Ohio Stadium. I just thought it was really funny, like the roots, the tradition, playing in an outdoor stadium. It was really cool. And it was the second highest attended NHL game in history. So that kind of speaks for itself in terms of how popular it was. I myself, I like the outdoor games. It adds a little bit of flavor to the game. I feel like sometimes it can get bland. I like when the NBA used to do that stuff. And college basketball, they play in outdoor sites. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think, and especially for these two teams, I mean, they couldn't have known going into the season that the matchup would end like this. But the fact that it ended up, they're both, like you said, they're both currently sitting in the Eastern wildcard spot right now. So the fact that they both are playing this and it was kind of like a competition. They were both before the game sitting at 66 points and basically fighting for that first wild card spot. So I just think that the way it played out was honestly kind of cool.
Yeah, I'd agree. I liked the matchup. I think it's two teams that are very close in distance and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's fun. Yeah. I agree with Chase. It adds flavor to the game. So it was good to see.
It was also especially special for, honoring Johnny Gaudreau. I don't know if you guys saw, but you know how they always do the special outfits walking in, and the Blue Jackets, they had it was like a Johnny Gaudreau, an outfit he wore or something like that. And then even the Red Wings too, they were wearing USA Hockey Johnny Gaudreau jersey. So I just like seeing that throughout the season.
Yeah, and I think they also honored his mom during that game as well I think in the beginning, I don't know.
Yeah, and I believe his kids were there skating before too. So it's just nice to see for the Blue Jackets. Everything's kind of working out for them, for Johnny this year. So
yeah, it's nice to see a united front in hockey for that.
So speaking of that game, what do we think of the Stadium Series as a whole? I know Chase touched on it a little bit, but what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's fun. I think, growing up, I always loved playing pond hockey. I knew people who played it outside, so it's like kind of nice to see it because every little kid plays pond hockey at some point. So it's kind of like seeing, some of the guys just embrace their inner child.
Yeah. Yeah, I really, honestly, I like it. Again, like I think Chase said, you said it adds flavor. Like
Yeah.
I like it, just spices up the season a little bit. And I think the players enjoy it too. It's nice. It's a little bit of homage to, when they were younger playing outdoors. Like it's just fun to see. It's fun to see what they're going to wear when they show up. And it just keeps the season interesting.
Yeah, and one thing I like is just like them moving around. Like it's always in a different stadium, different city. And it brings in a lot of revenue for the NHL, for that stadium, for the whole city. It's kind of like a mini all-star game. If you would say. So that helps out. It helps out the stadiums and it grows the audience of the NHL to maybe a city that doesn't have an NHL team but has a stadium that could host it. It kind of grows that team's brand and reaches a bigger audience.
Yeah.
I would agree. Honestly, I would like to see more stadium games, to be
Yeah,
honest, more
Yeah, me
outside
too.
games. In my mind, I think of them as like when Penn State basketball plays in Rec Hall instead of the BJC. Like those are one of the most attended games like of the whole entire season. So I feel like it definitely gets people like hype and it's just something new and fresh. But for our last headline, Seth Jones was traded from the Blackhawks to the Florida Panthers for Spencer Knight and a 2026 first round pick. What are your thoughts about this trade and any others to come?
I think it's surprising, but like also not really. I think Seth Jones is definitely going to get traded from the Blackhawks. They already talked about it at the beginning of the season. Even though he was in the middle of his contract, he just was not putting up as many points as they would have liked. I don't think he was, helping the Blackhawks as much as they thought he would. So seeing him traded was not as surprising. I'd say Spencer Knight being traded was a little bit more surprising than I thought.
I would agree with that. I think so far from what they both played, like one game for each team, something like that. It's not been a lot.
Little, yeah.
Right. It's not been a lot. And I like from what I've seen, the Panthers put it out there. They were impressed. They liked it. They liked the trade. It's working well for them. And I also saw too, Spencer Knight with the Blackhawks. His first game that he played, he had like a 97 save percentage. Like so he it's clearly working. And sometimes a trade just needs to happen. So
right.
Yeah, kind of going off what both of you guys said. I think it was one of those win-win situations for both sides. It wasn't a lopsided trade because the Blackhawks are still a young core and they got a first-round pick as well as a nice goalie that they can kind of build around. Yeah. And as for Jones, he's a great defenseman. He ranks in the top 20 among all the defensemen in points per game, so they're getting that out of him. And I think he can contribute to the Florida Panthers, who obviously have playoff experience. He brings veteran presence, and I think he can help them maybe run it back this year again, make it deeper on the playoffs. I think he'll help contribute, but at the same time, it wasn't a huge loss for the Blackhawks because they're getting young core to build on the future.
Speaking of playoffs, thanks for the little transition. As we get closer and closer to the playoffs, standings are starting to get set and players are hitting their stride, as we've seen with Ovechkin. I want you to go to the board and give me a player that you can't wait to watch in the playoffs. So, Emily, let's start with you.
I would love to preface this pick by saying I know that once you guys see it, you're going to understand, but I know that it is not exactly a reality at this moment that this person will be in the playoffs, but we will see. So my pick is going to be Jack Hughes. I don't know if you guys saw, but against the Knights, it was late in the third period. He went hard into the boards, holding that shoulder going off. He had a really rough start his rookie season. Was it 6 years ago now, like with that shoulder? So that just continues to be an injury with him. And he has yet to play a full season in the NHL. But the one time we did see him in the playoffs, he dominated. He played 12 games. He had 11 points. I think 5 of those were goals. And it was just like a different version of Jack Hughes. Like, in the regular season, it seems that sometimes he lets players walk all over him. We did not see that in the playoffs. That year, he was up for the Lady Byng, the Gentleman Trophy. Well, I don't know what happened, but he started fighting Sebastian Aho, and here we are. So I just love to see him in the playoffs again.
All right. That's a good pick. I like it. Chase, let's see your pick.
All right. So I have another pick that you guys might question if he's even going to be playing the playoffs. And right here we have Matthew
Oh.
Tkachuk. He suffered a lower body injury in the Four Nations tournament. Obviously, he's a physical guy. He's veteran presence. He's got high hockey IQ. If he is a part of the playoffs, this Florida Panthers team can make a deep run. I think he contributes a lot to the team, and without him, I don't know how far they can go. So if and when they get him back for the playoffs, he's going to make a major impact, and it'll really boost the morale for the Florida Panthers team, and probably give them some momentum going into the first round.
I like what you said when, like, if him coming back will boost the Florida Panthers and give them a lot of morale. Like, he's supposed to be
Yeah.
out until the playoffs,
Yeah.
basically. And again, we don't even know if he's going to be back for the playoffs. But him coming back, if he comes back right before the playoffs, I don't know. Maybe we're going back to back this year. I don't know.
I will say I did see an article published this morning from the NHL, and they said that he is projected to be able to play again once the playoffs start.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we could see him.
You might get lucky,
may-
Chase.
yeah.
You might get
Yeah.
back right
Your
after
pick's
the
like,
playoffs.
Yeah. He's
Go ahead.
he's also one of those players that in the playoffs, like, you know him, you know his name is heard, and it's usually because people don't like him, but
Yeah.
his name is heard. So
Yeah.
Yeah, going off what you said, a lot of people don't like him from opposing teams, but I'm sure his teammates love him. He's one of
Yeah.
those teammates that you love him to be on your team if he's not on your team. Like,
Yeah.
he's your worst enemy. He's not
Mhm.
afraid to drop his gloves and get physical. We saw that in the tournament already. We've seen him get in a couple fights through his years. So he kind of just brings that fierce presence to the team that they kind of need. And like I said, it's morale boost. It kind of gets the guys going, gets the energy up in the locker room
Yeah.
when you need it the most.
Mm-hmm.
that could definitely be vital if he comes back right before the
Yeah.
playoffs.
Okay, Victoria, let's see your pick.
All right. I will say I'm biased to like this pick as a Sabres fan, but we have Jack Eichel. I'm really excited to see him. Right now, the Golden Knights are first in their conference, and I'm really impressed with Jack Eichel this season. He has a total of 53 assists and 19 goals so far. He's doing really well in the regular season. He's a great player for the Golden Knights to get their momentum up. He also brings kind of a veteran style of blood to their team. He's a very good leader for them. He definitely is a good mentor. I saw one of the younger players say that he's given them a lot of advice to boost their own confidence on the team. And I think that he is going to help the Golden Knights go very far this playoff season.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I love watching him play. I really
Yeah.
do. I mean, part of the injury with Jack Hughes was Jack Eichel, but they're teammates for USA,
Yeah,
so gotta
yeah.
love them.
I mean, I feel like it's always interesting to watch when a veteran plays because I feel like they just bring a certain something to
Yeah.
the team.
Yeah,
I think he also brings just a lot of knowledge, and he's in interviews, you can see like he isn't shy to give younger players advice or to direct them and help them in, boosting their own game. So it's just really nice to see because there are some players who are not like that at all. And I think he's a very good asset for the Golden Knights.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you need that going into the playoffs.
Mhm.
It's like that in every sport. Teams can be good in the regular season. They can have all the fundamentals down, but when it really comes down to the playoffs, it's all about experience
Yeah.
and leadership. And the teams that have the best experience and leadership win. We see that in hockey. We see that in the NFL with the Chiefs. We see it in the NBA. Back with LeBron and Curry, the people like that, they have leadership qualities that you just don't find that in every player and every team. So to have someone like that who can kind of lead the team on his back, it's very beneficial to the team.
Yeah.
All right, it's time for my pick. So for my pick, I have Mitch Marner. So honestly, he just has, like it's been talked about with other players, he has really good hockey knowledge, and like his ability to set his teammates up for that perfect play is just honestly impeccable. And when the pressure's on and like the stakes are high, I feel like he plays good and he brings like the skill. And he has really great puck control and he's agile, which gives him speed and it helps him avoid like the defensive plays. Obviously, he has great chemistry with Austin Matthews. So the two of them together make an insane duo and they're so fun to watch. So I would love to watch him in the playoffs.
When we were picking people, I was actually thinking about him too, and him and Austin Matthews together. Yes, like we were talking about with Matthew Tkachuk. It's when they're in the playoffs, like those are the names that you hear, and those are the people you want to see.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Are the Maple Leafs gonna do their usual make it to the second round and then choke in the beginning, or do we think they're gonna go farther?
They're gonna be fine. They're gonna somehow manage to pull through. I have faith in them.
Mitch Marner can help them.
Yeah, Mitch is gonna save the day. My bestie Mitch is gonna save the day, and it's gonna be perfectly fine, actually. So, now that we've talked about a lot of NHL, let's move on to some college hockey. We're gonna switch gears to college, because college hockey has been electric this season. Penn State's men's hockey just got a huge win against Minnesota.
Yes.
I'm very excited about that. I'm a little upset that we're not getting our home game.
Yeah.
But
that would have been clinched with the second win, correct? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that upset really broke my heart.
But
I really wanted a home game.
You know what? It was number 2 Minnesota. The fact that we had won at least one game.
Yeah,
like,
that was huge.
Thank goodness, right? Like we took down number 1 Michigan State like the previous weekend, and so to come in on Friday night and to do it again to Minnesota, like it feels good. Penn State hockey is on a streak right now. Like they're in it to win it. Like they're like laser focused second half of the season,
and I am loving it. I am so here for it. The hockey games are so fun. The student section is electric. You can really feel the energy in the air. But I mean, do you have something to add about the men?
Yeah.
Before we move on to the women.
Yeah, I can add. So I've been to 2 games. As you were saying, the atmosphere is great. Electric's a good word to describe it, as you said. And Penn State's just a team that you really can't count out. They beat Michigan State a couple weeks ago, number 1 team in the country, then Minnesota, the number 2 team in the country. And the thing is, they might not be blowing these teams out, but they know how to perform in the clutch. They know how to perform when it matters the most. And that really comes into play come playoff time. So, yeah, I think people have to count Penn State in. I know they're not top hockey school. They're no Michigan or Minnesota, but you can't count them. Yeah, you can't exactly. You can't count this Penn State team out just because of their name. They've won it before, and I think they have a real chance to win it this year. Obviously, the Big Ten is a competitive conference, but I think they can pull through if they keep winning these games that come down to 1 or 2 goals.
Yeah, I'd agree, and I think that right now Charlie Serrato is really on a roll. Aiden Fink being nominated for Hobey Baker.
Yes.
So, I mean, go vote if you haven't. Go vote for Aiden Fink for Hobey Baker. But, yeah, I think with everyone really being laser focused in this, I think they all have the same goal in mind right now, and that's really the motivation that they have to beat these, better teams, arguably.
Obviously, we've seen the men really bringing it, but the women's team has been on fire all year, racking up a 35-1 record. So what are our thoughts on this?
I'm impressed.
Yeah. I mean, but did we expect anything less? Like, they're going for a three-peat here. Like, they won it. Like,
I'm impressed with Tessa Janicki breaking the hockey goals record for any player on any Penn State hockey team ever.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
It's so nice to see, like, fellow women really, like, just proving that they are just as good as men, if not better. You know what? Our Instagram question today was, what's one rule that you could change in hockey? I would have a men versus women's game.
Just for fun, like a blue and white game or something?
Yes, a men versus women hockey game. I think that would be so interesting and so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what else to really add. I'm impressed by what they've done this season. They need to beat Ohio State and Wisconsin, 2 of like the big opponents in the Big Ten Conference, but only dropping 5 games throughout that long of a season is impressive. Not a lot of teams can do that, and it kind of just shows us their perseverance and their willingness to just go out every time the puck drops, just stay with it, stay focused with that laser focus that you mentioned, and I think they can win it all again.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the rest of their season.
I am too.
Which I believe it concludes this weekend, correct?
Okay.
The championship is this weekend.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
hopefully we will see a
Yeah.
three-peat this
Yeah.
weekend.
Yes.
But now that we got our bias out of the way and talked about Penn State hockey, do you guys have any thoughts on the upcoming conference tournaments or the NCAA tournament? Any sneaky good teams that have surprised you or are teams to look out for?
I'd say Ohio State and
Mhm.
Michigan State. I mean, they are, they have a name now for them, and regardless or not, if you like them,
Or don't.
Yeah.
or yeah,
Or don't.
they still are. I feel like they're gonna have some tricks up their sleeves, and they're gonna make it hard for anyone to beat them.
And I'm going to take the opposite side of that on teams that you shouldn't be looking out for.
Okay.
Penn State, we play Michigan this weekend. Not Michigan
Mhm.
State, but Michigan. I think the last few years, their program has been insane. Like, if you look at it, like 4 years to
Yeah.
now, like, it's been like
Mhm.
pretty insane. But they're losing a lot of their key players to the NHL, which I mean, good for them. But like a lot of those key players, like Adam Fantilli, Rucker
Mhm.
McGrody, like all of those players, they're going on to bigger and better things, and they're not staying with Michigan hockey. So I mean, looking a little bit in the future, but I feel like we might see a little bit of a decline for Michigan hockey just because those players are starting to phase out, and
Mhm.
that's where Penn State hockey can start rising.
And I think that's where Michigan gets their name.
Yeah,
Because all of their players that they take
Right.
are NHL bound.
Yeah.
Right.
So in a sense, they did it to themselves.
right.
But,
But it's very difficult because like when you look at like the Penn State roster from year to year, like it's
Mhm.
like similar guys, obviously seniors graduating, freshmen coming in,
Mhm.
but like Michigan hockey, like turnover, Adam Fantilli's there for like 1 year his freshman year, and then he
Yeah.
goes off to the
Yeah.
Blue Jackets. Like it's if you want a good quality team that can build chemistry, you got to have the same guys there.
That's
Right.
what I was going to mention. I feel like a lot of hockey is about team chemistry and
Mhm.
working together.
Yeah.
And I feel like Michigan they don't have that. They're
Yeah.
really good. They've
Yeah.
gotten really good, but they lack that team chemistry, which I think is especially important in the playoffs because
and
you're
it could be
facing,
their
like-
downfall.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you're facing the best of the best in the playoffs.
Right.
And
And a few years ago they had great chemistry, but now
Mhm.
with all those guys gone, like what are you gonna do? Like there's nothing to build
Yeah.
on. So
with so much turnover, there's just no time to get
Yeah.
that team bond and that team chemistry that you need.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. A lot of good individuals in one team. It's going to win you a lot of games in the regular season. It'll probably get you in the postseason. But so, like you guys said, to win in these big conference tournaments and in the playoffs for the whole NCAA tournament, you kind of need to play as a team. You need a group of guys or girls to play together as one. And yeah, like you guys said, they don't really have that. Most of their players are in and out in 1 year. They haven't been together for 3 or 4 years since they were freshmen, like teams like Penn State do. But going a different route, the team that I have to look out for is Maine. They have a sneaky good record. They're 21, 6-5, and they actually rank number 5 right now. So might not be a school that you really think of. You might think of like Michigan, like you guys said, or Minnesota, a team from a bigger conference. But watch out for Maine. I'm just saying they could take it all.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
have to start looking out for Maine. I didn't even realize that they were ranked that high, which is
yeah,
bad on
they're
my
really
part.
sneaking in there.
Yeah.
I didn't know that
I
either.
really didn't even know that. But wrapping up, let's do some blind ranking. We're gonna blind rank these Stanley Cup winning teams from history, 1 to 5. We'll say 1 being best and 5 being worst.
Like the best team.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
They almost choked it away.
I mean, I feel like because I hate them, I cannot put them at
Okay.
1, 2, or 3.
But we can't put them at 5 because there
Right.
could be
Yes.
someone worse.
Yeah.
That's
4?
true.
I'm thinking.
So
3 or 4, I
I would say
Okay.
3.
like mid
They're-
3. Yeah.
they're- yeah.
So a 3?
Yeah.
They're,
Yeah.
they're mid.
Yeah.
All
I mean,
right.
I just remember watching that series, how they almost blew a 3
Yeah,
game
right,
lead.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of
You normally
embarrassing.
don't do
Yeah.
that.
If you do that, you
Right.
can't really be like respected as one of the best ever
Yeah,
teams to win
right.
Stanley Cup.
Definitely.
Yeah. So let's put them at number 3.
okay, number
okay.
3.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
Hmm.
What are we thinking
Okay,
here?
for me, I kind of
I like the Avs.
I do
have a
too.
soft spot for them.
I
I do
so-
too. I
I'm
would
thinking
say
like
number
2 maybe.
They're also
Yeah.
like kind of, I mean, for me personally, I mean, I don't really watch the Western Conference, but like they're always just kind of flying under the radar. Like they're
Mhm.
always a good team, but like you don't always know it. Like they're just kind
Mhm.
of there. So
Okay.
I like them at 2.
Okay. We can put them
I
at
agree
2.
with that, yeah. It sounds good. Ooh, is this when they went back to back?
I would assume.
Well, the 2s they're holding, I would kind of.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do believe
You're
so.
right,
Guys, I kind of want to put them at 1.
One.
Yeah, that might be one.
I kind of want to put them at 1.
Yeah.
But then we only have 4 and 5 left, and then I feel
And
like
then if
they're
it's, like,
gonna
a
throw
really
something
good
in.
team.
I feel like you can't put them at 4 and 5 though. You
Yeah,
have
you
can't.
Fleury,
They
you
don't
have Phil
deserve
Kessel,
that.
you have Sidney
Yeah.
Crosby,
And it was back
Fleur-
to back.
And
I mean,
like
I
Fleury
mean-
alone deserves number 1. He
Yes.
is my favorite
Yeah.
goalie.
yeah.
And when you win back to back, you have to
Yeah.
put some respect on the champion.
Mhm.
I feel
All
like
right.
we gotta put them at
Yeah,
1.
number
Yeah.
1.
All right,
Number
so
1.
4 and 5 we're still missing.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
No,
Okay.
they can
So
go
are
at
we
5.
feeling-
They can,
5?
they can go
Okay.
5.
Yeah,
That's
5.
irrelevant. That was an irrelevant game.
I kind of forgot that they've won.
2013.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Well, they're at 4.
they
Yeah.
don't really have an option.
You're right,
They
you're right.
kind of
They
feel
have a
bad putting them
choice.
at 4,
Yeah.
but
Will we switch
Sorry.
anything?
that was an iconic
Would we
year.
switch anything? Maybe
Who we put at 3 again, though? Who's
The
first team?
Panthers.
Panthers.
I'd put them
We
at
should have
4.
the Panthers at
Yeah, I
4.
would switch
Since it's
Yeah.
a blind ranking, we technically can't. But if you want
But
a
if
real
we could.
ranking, we would flip
Yeah.
them.
Other than that, I
Yes.
think it's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
We
We
did
did
pretty
good.
good. We did pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay, well, that is all the time we have for this episode. But make sure you stay tuned for tomorrow's episode.